everybody. My name is Henk Wals. I'm director of DANS. I started this job at April 1st this year. Before I came to DANS, I was director of the International Institute of Social History in Amsterdam. And prior to that, I was director of the Huygens Institute for the History of the Netherlands here in The Hague. What I would like to talk about this afternoon for a short while is the challenge of making data available for use and the need to step up that effort a little. I would like to get us on the same page by asking a question that might seem obvious, but that we as data service providers sometimes risk losing sight of.
So why is the reuse of research data so important? There are three main reasons. First, by making the data available, we enhance the quality of research. Why? Because reserving a dataset makes research verifiable and repeatable, and therefore more trustworthy. Reusable data contribute to the integrity of science. Secondly, reuse of data and open science in general speed up the circulation of knowledge, which can be of importance if society has to deal with huge problems like, for instance, deadly pandemics. Thirdly, it's simply efficient and cost-effective if datasets do not have to be built from scratch over and over again for different research projects. To what extent is Dutch-produced research data available for reuse? Actually, we don't know. This summer, we did a little research into the number of datasets kept by repositories in the Netherlands, and we counted a number of around 170,000 datasets. Let me show you the distribution in this graph, which is like sort of a top 10 of Dutch repositories counted by datasets shown on a logarithmic scale. Most repositories hold a few hundred to a few thousand datasets. At number 2, we have the language archive, which is basically a collection of 130,000 sound clips. On top, we see DANS holding around 150,000 research datasets, mostly from archaeology, the humanities, and the social sciences, also a bit of the life sciences. And like I said, when we not count the language archive, at the moment we have something around 170,000 research datasets which are deposited in Dutch repositories. Of course, Dutch datasets are also posted in international generic repositories like Zenodo or Figshare, but we don't know how much.
What we have really no idea of is how many data sets are not deposited and still remain at servers, at laptops, at Dropboxes even, of universities and research institutions. And there's reason to believe that the number of these data sets exceeds the number of deposited data sets by far. And in my opinion, this is where the real challenge lies. So the question is, what can be done about it? And I believe that the problem doesn't lie with research data repositories, but in the domain of research itself.
And this problem should be dealt with, and one can think of following measures. First of all, researchers should be credited for depositing a dataset, like they are credited for producing a publication. Depositing datasets should add to their track records. Secondly, research units as a whole should be credited in standard evaluation peer reviews for the number of datasets they deposit at certified repositories. Thirdly, the workload of university researchers should be reduced. In my experience, datasets are sometimes not deposited because simply researchers lack the time to prepare their data for depositing. Depositing datasets should be a condition for funding. and after a project is finished, it might be a good idea for funding organizations to check if the data is actually deposited. Researchers should be supported at the local level by data stewards. Local DCCs should be established or, if they exist, reinforced. Handling data should be a part of basic academic training, starting at bachelor level, no matter what discipline. And additional training should be offered to researchers who did not receive such a training, or just to bring them up to date with new developments every now and then.
So these are not problems which can be solved by DANS or by any data service provider in general. However, we will step up our efforts to make a significant contribution to the reusability and reuse of research data in the Netherlands. And this is something we are going to focus on the next years. How?
First, we are going to rebuild our old EASY service into a series of services tailored to specific needs of different disciplines. These services will run on the basis of Dataverse software, and the different instances of Dataverse we use, we will call data stations. We will start with data stations for archaeology, social sciences, humanities, and also with a more generic data station for other disciplines, and we will call that the DANS data station. In the future, we possibly will expand the number of data stations for other disciplines. And every data station, as you can see here in the middle, is connected to another service we call the Vault, which is basically a long-term preservation archive. And of course, there still will be Dataverse NL as a platform for universities and institutions who want their own repository. Secondly, DANS will start performing as a national expertise center. We plan to form a research data expert team offering information, knowledge, training, consultancy to data stewards and researchers. We will closely cooperate with other data services and infrastructure providers like our RDNL partners SURF and 4TU Research Data. We believe cooperation, by the way, is something that needs to be broadened, needs to be deepened to a next level, because we really need to start working together to make data more easily findable on a more aggregated level in order to advance interoperability, efficiency, etc. At DANS, we are prepared to invest in this, to facilitate cooperation and do all the things needed to make this happen. We will also set up a new R&D group, which will spot, develop and test new technology, but also will monitor developments in the data landscape, gather quantitative information on the number of data sets produced, deposited, the reusage of data, and so on and so on. And we will share this information on a regular basis. And of course, we will continue to be a reliable partner in international organizations and European projects and try to make what we take from there work at a national level.
So this is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all an enjoyable and interesting afternoon. Thank you.